One of the things that I think is so important for everyone to have and to build for themselves is a coping box. And today I'm going to walk you through how to build one for yourself. First, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. I'm Long Island's eating disorder specialist. I post on this channel twice a week all about eating disorders, body image issues, and general mental health. So if any of that is interesting to you or you think it could be helpful, click the subscribe button down below. I would really encourage you to also subscribe to my email list using the link in the description below. What will happen with that is if you subscribe, you will get a weekly newsletter with updates and previews as to what's to come and some announcements I think you'll be excited to hear about. And also you will get resources, many of which that I will create that's meant to be used in conjunction with the videos that I put out to really help you get the most out of it. And of course, if you're watching this at a later date and you missed the content or the resource that I have, just subscribe to my email list. You'll get a welcome email. You could reply to that. Let me know exactly what you're looking for and I will get that over to you. And if you would like a daily dose of inspiration, definitely consider following me on my Instagram. I will leave that link in the description below along with my weekly blog. And if you found this video helpful, I would definitely appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up at the end. Today I'm really hoping to give you a bit of insight as to how to build your coping box. So you'll get to know me a little bit more because I'm going to walk you through the process of what I would do in order to choose the items that I would be putting into my box, along with showing you the items that I had chosen. And one of the great things about this is that there's so many things that you're probably not even recognizing that you have already that you can consolidate and put into a coping box. So you can look around your house or look at the dollar store because they have amazing things for literally $1. It's important to know yourself because it'll really help you to give you clues as to what you should be including in your coping box. And you may ask, why is a coping box necessary if you already own these items? Wouldn't you just go there? We have something called decision quotas. As humans, we have a quota for how many decisions we really can make in a day. When we are in a negative frame of mind, it makes it even more difficult for us to take that little energy that we already have to make further decisions. So when you are in a negative state and you really need to figure out a way to cope, a thing that bars you from maybe working on any coping skills that you have or finding a coping tool that you could use is, one, you have to make the decision that you want to do something about it. Two, you have to make a decision as to what you're going to do about it. Three, you have to find whatever that is that you want to do, the coping skill or the coping tool that you want to use. Four, you have to take the action to do it. So this is a whole bunch of steps here, and any step that we could save is going to be really, really helpful in coping. So when we have it all consolidated in a box, it makes that much less steps for us. So when we are struggling in an emotional state, all we need to do is decide that we're going to go to our coping box, and then everything is literally at the ready for you, and then you just need to pick something up. And it's going to be a lot easier for you when everything is already there in that moment. I have a bunch of things that I would place in my coping box next to me, and I'll walk you through each and every one and kind of my thought process behind it. So obviously your coping box will look a lot different, but this is just going to help you to start thinking about what you need to be thinking about to really find the coping skills that are going to work best for you. And I would really encourage you to account for a range of different emotions. So you might need different coping skills, or you will need different coping skills when you're really struggling in a very depressed state than when you are maybe just kind of in a blue mood, but you're not really in a depressed state. There's going to be a lot of different things. Or anxious, if you're anxious, you're going to need different things. So account for all those range of emotions that you tend to experience most often. And additionally, you should also account that you may end up tossing some of the coping skills that you found that was helpful at one point, because we grow and evolve and change and all of that. So be absolutely willing to be flexible with it. Throw out some things that are no longer really helpful or purposeful in helping to serve you to cope, and add things in that you're finding are more helpful. So without further ado, let me get into my thought process as to why I chose the things for my coping box. Again, to help you get some ideas. The first thing I have here may be a little intimidating. It is an adult connect the dots. So this is something I thought it was really cool. I found it on Amazon because I always used to like connect the dots when I was younger, because I find that it's a very calming thing for me. This might give some people anxiety. It's important to recognize that there's going to be differences. So I always find it helpful, but the connect the dots for children are a little bit not very mindful because it's very quick, so you could just go through this. So this is a lot of dots, and what I find is really helpful is it's guided. All I need to do is find the next number and draw a line. So it's going to help me to focus but not overwhelm me. So this is something that I thought would be really helpful for my coping toolbox. And of course you want to include any tools that you'll need. So for this I'd probably put in a pencil, maybe a colored pencil if you really want. And the next thing might be a little contradictory. This is something that I actually had in my office, so I figured I'd throw this in, is a children's coloring book. For me, the adult coloring books give me so much anxiety because one, I'm just not the best artist. It's really not something that I'm talented in, which is absolutely okay, even coloring, but it's just too much. It's too much for me. And I know that that's something that is really relaxing for some people, and I know other people that just do not work well with it at all. So while I think that coloring can be therapeutic, I would choose a more child-based coloring book, aka fairy tales right here, and it's something that is much simpler to fill in than the crazy, and I do have some adult ones, the crazy ones that you have to color in there. I also included some notebooks in here. So this is one of the journals that I always give my clients, my new clients that I start with. I always give them journals because I think that journaling is super important. So this is something that I thought would be important to put in my coping box, as I would recommend it to any of my clients and to all of you to have a journal available, so that if anything comes up that you really want to just journal about or write about or list, you have access to do that here. And I had this, so I figured I'd put that in because maybe you want to write something else and maybe you just don't feel it fits in your journal. And plus I love cats. So going with the theme of journals and books, this is something that I got in, I believe it was my Yogi Surprise subscription box. I went through a phase where subscription box, and I can't say it was a phase, I'm still in it. I just love it. So this was a gratitude journal, and it has a bit of an outline. I haven't used it yet, so that's why I think it'd be really great to put in, because for gratitude, I've done videos on it. You can absolutely go check them out. But for gratitude, it is so powerful, especially if we're struggling with negative emotions, because when we are able to take a step back and recognize that there are things that we're grateful for and write them down to take that extra step, it is so powerful, and it's something that you can always look back on and find it inspiring. But also, if you are in a negative state and you're thinking about things that are making you happy, you will always be able to find something. I don't care what place you're in, I guarantee you that if you try, you will find at least 3 things, and I would encourage you to take that minimum, that you are grateful for. I promise after this is the end of the books that I have in here. So I put some books that I own in here. So this is Yoga to the Rescue, and you can look into just different things that could be helpful for whatever you're kind of experiencing. So that's that. If you're stressed, they have poses that are good for that. And they have a whole series for Yoga to the Rescue. This is a mindfulness for anxiety journal. I know a lot of my clients find this really, really helpful, so I figured that would be helpful. And a little book of meditation, or it says a little bit of meditation. And they just have different types of small meditations that you can do in here. And along the lines of books, again, I know I'm not going to show you any new ones or more. If you enjoy reading, definitely put some books in there, because you want to have books that are going to, or anything that's going to be helpful for you, just to look at, but also distractions. So you might have one that's comforting because it helps you to process things, but distractions is also an important coping tool to have. I promise this is not a book. It's something that I came across at a hotel recently. It's basically a huge tourist guide to New York City. As you guys know, I live on Long Island, and I was recently talking to my boyfriend about this, that he was saying that, many people don't realize that we don't really explore the areas that we're from. So I figured this is going to be something that can distract me and help to inspire me to maybe plan something, and just get me excited for something. I do plan on taking maybe a weekend trip or maybe a little longer to really explore the area that I'm from. Every coping box needs a stress ball. I'm not even sure where I got this from. Oh, Okay, so yes, I got this from a health and wellness fair back in college, and I really, really love it. It's definitely something that you can just squeeze, but also if you needed to like throw it at something, like on the floor or something, it gets a little bit of aggression out. It's not going to cause any damage, so that's going to be something really good too. And then I have tissues, because let's face it, we all cry, and if we're going to our coping box, we might want to have easy access to tissues. And of course, this is an inspirational thing. This is believe in yourself. There's a lot of tissues, or like little packs of tissues that have like really nice things. I guess I figure that everyone's crying. They don't have just allergies. Another thing I found is I used to keep all fortune cookie fortunes, and even when other people got them, I would put them in like this little bag. So I figured it might be a really cool thing, because I don't believe in coincidences. So if I were to pull out something, I do believe that there's a message that I need to hear, and this might be that message. So it's just kind of a random selection and see what comes out. And if any of you guys have any like weird collections from like childhood or something like that, leave them in the comments down below, because it's really interesting to hear it. But also you might want to include it in there if it's something like that. I included a amethyst candle. This is for, well, amethyst, it doesn't show it on here, but amethyst is a calming crystal, and in this particular candle it's lavender and amethyst, so it's really supposed to be calming. Oh, it smells so good. And there's like little bits of amethyst in there, so you're supposed to get the benefit of that if you believe in crystals. If not, ignore it. But regardless, the smell is definitely going to be helpful for you. There's some aromatherapy there. I do recommend putting a lot of the tools that you will need. Like I said, if you're going to have coloring books, you may want to put crayons, coloring pencils, you want to put pens, pencils, whatever. But I would not recommend putting a lighter in here, because it's literally a box and that could catch fire, so wouldn't want that. So be careful. This is really just a reminder that, hey, you have a candle, and if you want to light it, you could go ahead and get a lighter from a place that it is stored safely. Another thing that could be really grounding is tea. So this one I actually haven't tried. It's turmeric, ginger, and ginger could be a really it's a root, so it's a very grounding type of food, I guess, if you would call it that. So I figured I'd try it. I'm not really the biggest fan of drinking ginger, but I know it could be really grounding and obviously very good with your stomach. So if you have anxiety that impacts your stomach, that's going to be a good thing. Peppermint is also really good. I also cannot stand the taste of drinking peppermint tea. I always feel like I'm just drinking Listerine, but some people really, really like it. So to each one's own. Everyone has different tastes, so that's absolutely okay. Let me know, maybe I'm just getting the wrong tea. So let me know if you have a peppermint tea that tastes good, because I like peppermint flavor, just not peppermint tea. So, and more teas. I have here Buddha tea. It's really good, and they have, again, if you're interested in like spirituality and stuff like that, this is particularly for the crown chakra, but they have different teas for different chakras. So if you're really trying to get more rooted and grounded, and that's really good for anxiety, you can look for the grounding teas for that. And this, I love this tea too. This is particularly rose hips, but traditional medicinals. So something that's really cool about traditional medicinals, I'm not going to open it because I don't want to waste it, because I don't have hot water, but I'm definitely going to have this later. The great thing about traditional medicinals is that on the tag, that, you know, when you steep the bag, there's like this little string at the end of it. They always have like these really nice quotes on there. And I just really enjoy. Again, I don't really feel like there's such thing as coincidences. Normally messages that are sent to us are meant to be sent to us. So I do believe that whatever tea packet you happen to pick and whatever quote is on there, there's a message that you need to be hearing. So this is really good. A couple of things that I also included in here that I thought would be really just fun and also helpful, and I would encourage you, is one, I have my tool, my pen for the journaling, and I am, this Minnie's little bow, that's so cute. But I love Disney, so it's something that makes me happy, and it's just nice to see this, and it just reminds me of some trips to Disney. So that is just something, again, just the little things are really important. couple other things that I have in here, and then I'm going to move on to another part of this that's going to be really important. So as you know, probably from earlier on in this video, I do believe in crystals. I do absolutely love crystal work, and I don't think that everyone does. Well, I know that not everyone does, so I'm not going to ever put that on others, but for me, it's something that I really like. So I have these crystals in here particularly. This is selenite, it's a clearing crystal, black obsidian, which is a protection crystal, and amethyst, which, as I said before, is a calming crystal. So I would really encourage you to have whatever crystals, if that's your thing, to put that in your box as well, because it can be really helpful, but don't forget to charge them and all that. Oh God, lastly, I use aromatherapy a lot. So these are some aromatherapy blends that I have here. This is really just to uplift your mood. So it's going to be really, really good if you are maybe in not so great of a mental state, maybe feeling a little sad or down, under the weather, whatever. And this particular, oh my gosh, I'm going to use it right now. I love the smell. It's a grounding root. And so it's so great for anxiety, and I would really recommend it. I got this originally in a subscription box, but I found it on Amazon as well, so I got more. It's a chakra balancing root by, what is it? Or acacia. I think I'm saying that right. So this is something that's really, really good. It's a roll-on in particular, but all the companies have different ones that you might just pour on or whatever like that. So it's so grounding. And here is just an overview of what this box looks like. And yes, it is a FabFitFun box. I think it was a winter box from last year. Again, I did tell you about my subscription box issue. All right, so a couple other things that I wanted to encourage you to add on into this box are things that you might not necessarily be able to fit in the box. So reminders to yourself, or maybe it's something that you can do that really doesn't work in a box. It's not going to be something. So it's something, let's say you really enjoy walking. There'll be reminders to go and take a walk. Or maybe it's saying that you have a stuffed animal that's really something that you enjoy hugging. Go and remind yourself, look at your stuffed animal and go give that a hug. Or maybe there's something that really wouldn't fit well, or it's dangerous to put inside the box or whatever. For instance, if you have the calming jar, which I have right over here that we made in a prior video, this is something I wouldn't recommend putting in the box because I'm not so sure how this holds up if you are going to kind of lay it on its side for a period of time, or if it gets knocked around and it falls on its side. I don't know if there'll leak or something like that, so it might be a reminder for you to go to your calming jar and use that. Also, definitely encourage you to make a list of social media accounts that you follow or that you find inspirational. So there would be probably one or two categories. One is accounts or YouTube channels, podcasts that help you with the thing that you're particularly looking to get help with. For instance, my channel might be on that list for if you're struggling with body image thoughts or whatnot. On the other hand, you might want to find channels that are distracting for you and not focusing on it, because again, that's a coping skill also. For me, I really enjoy learning about certain current events, and I really enjoy just watching some vlogs sometimes, or I really enjoy watching unboxings, and those types of things could be something really enjoyable. And it's something that distracts me, and it's something that might be distracting to you too. So what is it that you find distracting but helpful? Maybe comedy skits, and that's going to be really, really great for you to add in there. Maybe include some quotes. I would also encourage you to put in some photos of things that maybe experiences that you've had that you really feel good about or that you enjoyed. Perhaps maybe if you most people don't print pictures anymore, which is why I didn't include any pictures, but that might be something on the list to remind you to go to your photo album that you have on your phone that's dedicated to people that make you feel happy, or your pets, or whatever that might be. Lastly, what I would put in there are names and numbers of the people that you can reach out to. So if you're really, really struggling, who is it that you can reach out to? Are there any friends that you have? Are there any family members numbers that you have that you really could talk to. So if you have a CBT therapist in particularly, you can reach out to them in between sessions. So you might want to put that number and name a number down. And of course, if you are struggling with something in particular, I would make sure that you have certain numbers available to you on that list. So for instance, there are a lot of hotlines and helplines for whatever it is that you're struggling with. Look it up. Look up ones that are for your country. Look up ones for your state. If you're in the States, there's usually more local ones. But look that up and share them. If you have any particular hotline or helpline that's either a text line or whatever that you know is accessible, definitely leave them in the comments down below if you found that helpful. Also, leave a comment down below if there's anything that you would add to your particular box, or if you have any other tips for the coping box. I know this was a longer video, but I really do hope it gave you a little bit of insight into how to choose the things that you put into your coping box. If you found this video helpful, I would greatly appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. You can click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you an abundant coping skills box on your journey to finding your state of balance. And I will see you in my next video.